congrats, man. But yeah, he already finished his service, so he's happy with the job. So congrats to him, man. I still got 3 more cycles, so yep. Very lucky it rained during my outfield. Yeah. Outfield, consider you just stay inside. Yeah, man. You suffer from sleep paralysis occasionally. Oh, is it? Oh, damn. The thing about sleep paralysis is, sometimes you feel okay, everybody has different take on it. Some people say it's like a paranormal thing. Some people say it's like really like your body is asleep but your mind is awake, that kind of thing. So there are remedies, I guess, but yeah, I know some remedies are which doesn't involve pills, but there's like methods to do it. But I don't know, different people, I guess, attend to their sleep paralysis differently, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, it's how should I say? Yeah. It's not something along the lines of religious method. It's just involves a bit of technique of your breathing. Yeah. So I mean, I don't necessarily have a lot of insomnia. There are random nights I can't sleep, but usually I do crash quite easily though. So I just sleep. But there have been moments where I just cannot explain why I can't sleep, because this was many years ago. It felt Malay call it kena ganggu. It means I've been disturbed. Yeah, I guess that's what I would call it, because I couldn't really explain what was happening, and I did express the situation to my family members, but there was a different time because things were happening, and things were happening really strange. I think that thing happened once. This was really a long time ago. It felt like somebody is lying on top of me. You know what I mean? So it was very weird. I couldn't explain what was happening, but it only happened once, and it was a weird time. Yeah. Maybe there'll be a story for another day, I guess. Yeah. Hang on, I'm going through chat right now. You guys have been popping, man. I appreciate it. Aircon super cold. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why another thing that I don't tend to use the aircon too much. I think I get fever very easily if the temperature is too low. Yeah. All right, hang on. Okay, pretty much I'm caught up with chat right now. I remember random nights of no sleep, but I can crash anywhere, anytime, good and bad. Yeah. Usually usually at home I sleep pretty good. But this thing that I was talking about earlier on, I was at home at the time. I don't know. I'm thinking whether I should share this now. All right. Maybe I'll try to give a summary about it. Many years ago. All right. I guess before I continue with this, just take what I say with a grain of salt. I am not forcing anybody to believe what I say, but because the level of weirdness that goes in this story, all Right, just take it with a grain of salt. I don't even if you don't believe me, it's fine. So many years ago. This was a very like a long time ago. I was how old was I? Probably around my early 20s. Yeah, I'm in my mid 30s, so yeah, this was a long time ago. All right. Not okay, within my family, okay. This is like a distant, very distant relative. Um have you ever heard of stories of seen something like like people who keep things, you know? If you all don't know where this story is going, like have you heard of people like keeping stuff, you know, and somehow they have like special abilities and all that kind of thing. So yeah, something like that. So basically, this relative was nearing the end of their life because they were really old. So what happened is that the things that they keep with them have no vessel. So the vessel was at the end of their phase in their lives because they were getting old and they have nowhere to go. And because there was like very little control of these things because the vessel, getting old couldn't control anything. They couldn't even control themselves. So these things were somewhat going around, if that is like to simplify what it was trying to do. They were roaming around finding the next vessel. And the issue that, like, to try, if I were to understand it correctly, to be able for these things to be able to find the correct vessel, they have to find someone with the same blood from the vessel, meaning their children. So during this phase of these things roaming around, I don't know, somehow they remember people's address. I don't know how they work. Found my house. Because apparently my grandma is related to this relative. I guess the thing was like checking out, just to see like how we do things, that kind of thing. And thankfully enough, like, because my grandma, even though related to this said relative, but she is actually an adopted child to this relative of ours. Like the other siblings she has, who's younger than her, is blood tied to this said relative, but not my grandma, because my grandma, when she was a child, she was adopted. So this thing could not pass down to her because she is not blood, because she is adopted. So during this time, for some reason, I think that whatever that thing was trying to I don't know what the fuck it was doing. It was very strange. It was an entire week of strangeness. Oh yeah, some ghost stories. It's not really ghost stories. I think it's a story of people who they just cannot live their lives normally, so they have to resort to things that we all don't really understand. You know what I'm saying? So there was a week of very strange moments. Like, my grandma couldn't sleep properly. She was having weird dreams. My grandpa couldn't, my grandpa felt restless. He had weird dreams as well. I couldn't sleep properly, and I felt somebody was like lying on top of me. It was very strange, you know. So, so the thing is that what made it worse was trying to prove that this thing was real, you know. And because my grandma, even though she was adopted, she was the eldest, like literally the first child to this said relative. And every other sibling that that came after my grandma is blood to this relative. And because like the thing that was roaming around couldn't find a proper vessel in my grandma simply because of the fact she is adopted. Went on like after a week of trying to test us out, whatever the shit was doing. It went on to the next one, to the second. And you know how hard it is, you know how sickening it is. People trying, Sunday Sensei, something like that. You know how sickening it is, you know how difficult it is to tell people, especially your relatives or people hey, I think we need to look into this. I think we need to look into this. I think there's something wrong. We need to look at this in this perspective of stuff, because it is weird things are happening and no one can explain it. And then for those people who are like other relatives to tell you in your face, you're wrong, whatever you're doing, goes against religion. How dare you? Like to tell you in your face, having a meeting in your house to tell you, do you know how disrespectful that is? That's why sometimes I have this thing about Hari Raya. Like I sometimes like don't like to celebrate Hari Raya because like people Hari Raya come into your house, like once a year. People like like hugs, that kind of thing. Because I know this bunch, and it only takes Hari Raya for you all to but deep down inside their hearts, they're black. Come into my house to tell me to tell my folks that they're wrong, and how dare you, like that amount of disrespect to do that in my house. Uncle or not, I would drop kick the shit out of you, man. Like that never upsetted my grandma so much, for them to be in my house to tell me what I can say and cannot say. So yeah, that ordeal was very weird. It's something that is very hard to explain. That's why the thing is about like the culture that we live in, like it is freaking 2021, but people still resort to this kind of thing because they cannot deal with their self-esteem. They need more than what they have, and they have to resort it in that way because it is easy. That's the problem. Yeah, the audacity, like my grandpa said, okay, we have to. He presented the idea, like there was an actual freaking meeting in the house to say that, hey, maybe we need to take a look at this because it is something that is happening. Because like, not only us, like the other rest of the siblings from my grandma's counterpart, they were having some issues as well. It's only when we said it, then they start to share. Oh yeah, I'm also like, before this, like nobody said anything. And then each individual, like there's a lot of siblings. This relative that we had 13, 14 children. So my grandma's like siblings, like is a lot of people. And suddenly people were sharing their stories. So yeah, this thing is happening. Like we didn't ask them. We told them of like what we were going through, and they themselves shared their own ordeal. So this thing was going about causing actual problems. We didn't ask them. They the ones who told us their own perspective. So it was a weird week. And one or two of them, they were like, no, this is something to be explained here. You how dare you, like, you come into my house to tell me what I can say and you tell me I'm wrong, while the rest of them are telling their own perspective. We didn't ask this. And the level of disrespect, like, look, my grandpa is pretty old right now. This was many years back. But during that time, my grandpa was tolerating a lot of like patience. Like he was really holding back. My grandma was obviously upset. I was in my 20s and man, I wanna like, man. But seriously, my grandpa used to work in PSA. Like he really hold himself back. Like my grandpa, even in his old age, he's pretty strong guy. Like how strong? Like when I was younger, I used to be, that having my moments and being bratty, like I won't be upset and then I lock my door. That guy, my grandpa, he literally opened the door. He didn't even use the key. He just because he just gripped the handlebar and he was like, okay, I'm not gonna tolerate your shit. And he just turned the handle and I'm like, I'm freaking stunned. Like, okay, I'll stop my shit. Yeah, that's how strong my grandpa was at the time, and he still had it. And if he lose control, man, that particular uncle who ran his shit, he would have gotten backhand. Like I'm not joking with you, man. My grandpa was like really patient, like, yeah, because my grandpa, like during his like younger days, he was very, like Malay call it nakal lah. He's a very like hardened person, and he used to be that guy, who stole rice for the family when he was like really young, from the occupation days, that kind of thing. So he was like very rebellious. So working at PSA, and because of like working at the PSA, especially at the tugboat, where you have to like tie those, like anchor those ropes, and then you have to tie like his arms is as big as my face. Yeah, I have seen before he backhand. Yeah, there was a scenario. I guess that would be story for another day. Yeah, I've seen it. So I kind of know like what he can and cannot do. And I remember that particular moment, he was holding himself back, like the amount of disrespect this particular uncle was like saying. This guy was like renting off in our house, and I'm there like, my grandma was obviously upset. Her face was like in tears and all, and this motherfucker is like, oh man. And I saw across the room, and I saw my grandpa was like, and his hand was like this, like when you're sitting, like you're on a chair and your hands on your thighs, and one of his hand was like this. And he was like, and I'm like, really, this guy? So yeah. So yeah, I guess like when Alex Tom mentioned earlier in the chat about sleep paralysis, kind of like reminded me of that whole ordeal. It was a strange time. It is something that is very hard to explain. It's not about like you believe or not believe. When it happens to you, your mind tries very hard to justify and explain what is happening. And it's one of those moments where me myself just cannot explain what was happening. It felt that I was fully awake, but I was not in control of my own body. You know what I mean? And yeah, it was many years ago. It was a strange time. And unfortunately, I don't know, Meshach, like I don't know like how is the experience in Philippines. I think there's still a bit of that culture still active, right? If I'm saying this correctly. Please do let me know if I'm wrong. But in Singapore, just saying about Singapore, the culture is still around. People dealing with some stuff. I've seen some services happening in Carousel. People do still offer this kind of very strange services. You know, um, I don't know. It's very strange. Like some folks just wanna go by life and not deal with the hardships, but have it easy. You know what I mean? It's very strange. Yeah. Cheers, man. We are still deeply rooted in folk culture. Yeah. I think for Singapore context, like I guess it's still active. It's just that it's weird. You know what I mean? We are like 2021 and still people, dabble themselves with stuff like this. So it's very strange. It's hard to explain. Not sure for younger generation. My generation still ask permission to pass. Yeah, yeah. I whenever I go on my reservist, I still do that, especially when I have to take a piss. Because it's late at night, and yeah, I do ask permission. It's something that I do as well, because we don't wanna offend, because it's not our grounds. Because the belief is like something has been there or still is there before any of us were around. So it's kind of like it's in my language we call it adat, like paying respects, um asking permission, because it is not part of it's not a place that you own, so asking permission and all that. So I do every time when I go reservist, I make sure that I keep that in mind, because no one wants to get pissed on, dead or alive. No, nobody wants to get pissed on. So yeah, so yeah, that thing we still do. I don't know. Do you guys want, anybody in chat? Do you guys still want me to like share stories? Like I actually have like Apex running in the background. I just that I'm just enjoying our chat right now. I got a few. I have a lot of stories actually. If you all want me to continue with more stories, I got some more if you want. You don't mind? Yeah, sure. Anybody else like wanna hear more ghoulish stories? I got a few though. Kind of like a segue, because Mishak mentioned about asking permission and all that. That triggered another memory of my old workplace. Games will always be around. All right. So, okay, Mishak mentioned about asking permission when passing by trees or grasses, open fields. So, preparing late lunch. Well, late lunch, madam, is nearing dinner, but that's fine. All right. Okay. This was also years back. I used to oh my god, having a brain fart. Okay. I used to I used to work as a service crew. Something like Starbucks kind of job. This was way back. And so it wasn't really Starbucks because the job is like I basically deal with a counter that makes coffee, like that. So this work area was at it was at Expo. Yes, sorry, I'm having a brain fart because like suddenly the word Expo suddenly eludes me. So yeah, this particular building was at a place in Singapore called Expo. So during that time, like there was a lot of open fields at Expo. So this is like one of the newer buildings at that time at Expo. Um, so I work at this place as a service crew with another friend of mine. We were doing, coffee stuff for the building and all that. So during that time, okay, Expo used to be um a lot of jungle, a lot of swamps, maybe a few like kampong sections, a few like kampong as in like old village sections, a few cemeteries here and there. So Expo is like a really old place. A few reclaimed land. Yeah, Expo. So this building was like really new because like super barren. Yeah, like I don't know how developed Expo is right now because I haven't been there in a long time. But yeah, the building that I worked at the time, there was like a lot of open fields as well. So it was like my building, another building, and one more building, and then there was like a lot of open fields. So during that time, this building was like brand new. There were stuff that isn't even completed from the construction. So I was working there, and I only lasted, I don't know, 6 months or something. Super developed. Yeah, okay, yeah. This was like a long time ago, like super long time ago. So I was working there, and I think I lasted about like 6 months. But working there was very depressing. This is what I remember. So if you all ever remember, I mentioned on my previous stream that there was this Angmo guy who drank espresso, like espresso shots, like 4 shots for 4 days straight. Yeah, this was that job. So yeah, I remember that Angmo very well. So Monday to Thursday, drinking espresso shots, like 4 cups every day, every morning. So that's the place. And I remember being very depressed working at this place. Initially, I wasn't like, not depressed because I felt something was strange. I felt depressed like because like, yeah, man, I gotta work, that kind of thing. Because like young punk mentality, very. So, and I remember my colleague was also from, because I used to be in a band. So the other colleague was also another like friend who I knew from a band, and she fell sick like nearly every day, like coming to work. And because we were young, and my thought was like, it's either like she's really sick, or she just like couldn't care about the job and all that. And she was like sick nearly every day working at that place. I felt depressed. And yeah, things started to get like really weird after that, like 3 to 4 months in. It felt like really weird. And coming back to what May was mentioning about, passing by certain areas and asking permission. Like if you know that you're gonna step into a territory that that probably gives you the hint of like, okay, maybe you gotta tread lightly, you kind of like ask permissions. But the thing about that Expo area is that it's a brand new building, like like a CBD kind of building, high tech shit, that kind of building. Not really. It doesn't give the sign of like you trespassing into some weird area, right? Like nobody puts like a prayer area there. You know what I mean? No, it's a brand new building, so you don't have this notion of like maybe you're passing by onto something you can't see. And one day I felt okay. I kind of finished work around 6, I think, if I remember correctly. So I got back home, and I felt strange. But I got back home, and I felt my right leg feeling numb, like super numb. And I was like slightly limping. I don't understand, like I didn't hit or anything, but I felt that I was limping. I don't know why. And when I got back home, when I removed my sock, my grandma like saw me. She was like, she saw me, and I was like, it looked like I was like out of breath, like I was very tired. So the moment I took out my shoes, I took out my socks, and she saw my right leg, and she was like, she had that look, was like, wait, hang on, like, you know, that sudden pause. She was like, look at me. I was like, okay, what's wrong? And then she asked me, have you looked at your feet? And I was like, what's wrong with my feet? You see me now, right? You kind of know I'm a very like slim, thin kind of guy, right? And I wasn't even like noticing, but my legs, like the difference between my right leg and my left leg, my right leg looks like a leg who has obesity problem, and my left leg is fine. Yeah. So basically, there's a difference in size. My right leg is bloated and my left leg is fine. And she was like looking at me like, and veins were like, you know, there was like visible veins all over my right leg. And she's looking at me like, I think, okay, the word she used, she said like, I think you have Dana. Like, I'm ignorant. I don't know some of the terms and all this because I'm dumb. So she said in Malay basically. So she said I had Dana. So Dana basically is like, so if I were to, you know, like if I were to like pop a bubble or something on this like bloated leg, I might lose my leg. That's essentially what it is. She asked me, did you step on anything? Did you hit on anything? I said no. You know, like, you know, sometimes when the belief is like, you know, in Singapore, like sometimes when people put like prayer like items, you know, with the offerings of food on the side of the tree and all that, you know, sometimes like people don't see and then they just like step over and hit the thing, then the thing falls over, right? You know, obviously because it's physical, you can see. And I mean, if you really believe in it, you obviously you apologize and say sorry, or like, you know, tepuchi or something like something along those lines. I obviously did not hit on anything. If I did, I would have apologized. So I'm like, wait, I didn't offend anybody. I didn't offend anything. I clearly said to my grandma, okay, I didn't do anything. So I think obviously I kind of passed by on something that I couldn't see. And like, I mean, if like Alex Town knows me, Rockworks knows me, they all seen me in real life, Fias knows me. They know how I look like. I'm sure they have never seen me with a bloated right leg before. Yeah, it was very strange. And luckily my grandma has a bit of knowledge, and she immediately like told my grandpa, and they kind of like discuss on what to do. She knows a few stuff. She did some prayers, and I told my supervisor, hey man, I cannot come to work. Something is happening to me. You know, why do I have a bloated right leg? Well, I have a bloated right leg because I may have offended something that I couldn't see. Yo, Mysterio 68. Yo, my good sir, welcome. Guys, we gotta talk about Mysterio 68 soon. But welcome everybody, welcome. We're just sharing some strange paranormal stories. Welcome. Alright, so yeah. My grandma discussed with my grandpa, did some like discussion on how to deal with it. My grandma kind of like knows a thing or two. So she kind of like did some prayers, and I felt very feverish when she was trying to deal with it. And I had to explain myself. No, I did not step on anything. I didn't fall on anything. I didn't offend anybody or anything. Like I had to repeatedly like convince her that I like, because I was young. You know, sometimes when we do or say things, we just like just do because, you know, you think you're right. I had to explain myself. No, I did not offend anybody. So I had to call my supervisor at the time. I said, hey, I couldn't come to work. I had to explain to him, and because it was another Malay guy, So he kind of like understood where I was coming from, and he was like, okay, sure, take your time and just recover. And the next thing that happened was even more, oh my goodness. And I then and there, within that 6 months, I had to leave the place because the same supervisor which I reported about my ordeal, he had issues as well. Because this guy tends to go back very late, like 7 p.m, near 8, that kind of thing. And this is something that he shared together with us because he was pretty close he was like that cool supervisor to be with. Because something followed him home. Like I said, let me repeat myself, chat. Okay, whatever I say, whatever stories I tell, you all take it with a grain of salt. Okay, you all can believe what I say, you can don't believe what I say, I'll leave it up to you. Okay, I'm just sharing some weird random shit that I just cannot explain. So unfortunately for my supervisor, like mine was a bloated leg, but this guy, something followed him. Because he's a hardworking guy. He needs to get stuff done, prepare stuff the next morning, documents, that kind of thing. Because he was going back home so late, something decided to follow him home. Coming back to my female colleague, my friend, who's always sick. Now I understand why she's always sick. Every week, at least 3 to 4 days, she is sick with something. Finally, the scenario kind of like falls in place. Why I'm always feeling so depressed working at that place. Why my friend is always sick. Something followed my supervisor back home. That's Expo. I don't know about Expo now, but this was many years ago. This was like when Expo had a lot of like open fields and buildings were brand new and all that. Not doxing Expo, but I don't know now. I haven't been into Expo for quite a while. Usually I go there is because like, IT show, Yeah. So I don't know about Expo now, but that was like many years ago. But IT show, I don't know, like I don't think anything funny happens at the IT show after the event is over. I don't know about the security guards. I've never spoken to anybody over there who works there. But yeah, usually IT show quite colorful, so I I don't think there's any like weird stuff that happens because my building that I was working at the time was like across the actual Expo IT show place. So yeah, in when it comes to like strange stuff that I cannot explain, I think this experience, this story that I mentioned, should be the most physical one I had. Because literally, like, yeah, I got skinny legs. Let me just establish that I got skinny legs. But to have my right leg looks veiny. Have you seen a veiny sausage, and the size of a slightly? I've never been fat. I'm slim all my life. I've never been fat. But to actually see my right leg more so fat than my left leg, how the hell do I explain this? And when I go back home and took out my shoes, I took out my socks, my grandma was like, she gave me that look like, you know that look when you give to someone else, like, the guy's bleeding and you look at it like, what the fuck happened to you? You know that kind of look? Yeah, that was the look she was giving me. Yeah, man, Expo, man. It was a weird time. I don't know, like, I think something was giving me depression at that workplace, like something I couldn't see. I don't know. It's very weird. So yeah, that's why when me was mentioning about, like asking permission whenever you pass by, that kind of thing, I get it. I still do it whenever I do my reservist. especially when it's late at night, and because sometimes like training grounds, there's no lamppost. There's like the only light you have, if there is any, is the moon, which is up in the sky. And when there's no moon, it's freaking dark. So when I tread around trying to find a place to to relieve myself because I need to pee, and this is like 3 a.m., 2 a.m., and it's freaking dark and I can't see shit. So yeah, I do still ask permission. I'm sorry, but I need to relieve myself. Hopefully you're not offended. That kind of thing. However you say it, I still do that. But the case for the expo workplace, I clearly did not stepped on anything that or pass by anything to offend anybody. Obviously, I might have, but I couldn't see it. And luckily it was soft. Like, because if I did anything else, like my grandma told me that I there was a potential that I might lose my leg. Like that. What? And unfortunately for my supervisor, something followed him back home. Yeah. So yeah. Alex Town, like this was also the workplace. Alex Town should remember this. Right? Do you remember that joke that I sometimes tell Rashid about that particular relative or uncle who taught Rashid how to play guitar? Do you know that relative? This was that workplace. If Alex Town remembers this. This was that workplace I was working with Rashid's relative. It's not really uncle. It's I think Rashid's dad's cousin or something like that. Yeah. This was that workplace. Yeah. See, Alex, if you remember right, this was the one. I was the female colleague that I've been mentioning, Alex. I don't know whether you still remember her. Do you remember this band, Obscure Phoenix, the female vocalist? That's the person. Yeah. This this note to replace with Kilat Face lah. What? Nah, man. Cool beans. Yeah. So yeah, I was working with Meow at the time. So yeah, we had some funny times working there. It's just that she fell sick a lot of times during that time. Yeah, I was like, I thought like like some people just like want to play truant and not like do work properly and MC all the time. But yeah, she was legitly having like not a wonderful time working there, falling sick all the time. Yeah, man, that's one of the many stories I have. So I don't know, like if you want me to share some more, I can continue on. But if not, I can always like play Apex Legends. Anyways, before we continue, I just want to give a shout out to more people. You know what? Because I can. Let's give a shout out to Shikise, a very talented artist and a connoisseur to Final Fantasy 14 online. Because her knowledge on the game is very extensive. There we go. Artiste, yes. I don't know what clips like.
People, don't worry. Okay, I promise I won't eat you for the next month or so. For the next month, I'll make sure everybody have enough food, and we won't like cook you in FF.
Lalafell is not meant to be eaten. Your friends. Whatever. Thank you. Thank you very nice, huh? You think eating lalafell is nice, huh? If you eat a salty lalafell, you think sweet, huh? It'll be salty. Yeah, whatever. Alright, let's give a shout out to Mysterio68. Do you have? Oh, look at that! Another botak brother there. I don't know what he's doing. See, this guy more atas. I only got one fan. He got two fan. See, I only fan. He only fans. Okay. Okay. I just want to give a shout out to Mysterio68. Recently, I was on his stream. He oftentimes do visit the nuclear limbs on their stream. And recently, I was on his stream and he had his lovely mother together with him. Auntie, oh auntie. I don't know if you're watching the stream right now. You're very adorable. You know. You and your son, huh? Very adorable.